And so quickly, we are going to discuss about cloud computing, then service models and deployment models of the cloud computing. So this is what the NIST definition. So even I've not written this. I just copied and pasted from this official document. So you can just go to Google. You can look for this NIST definition of cloud computing. So there you can find this. So this is official documentation, and here it is. So in simple, whatever the service is hosted over the cloud, that service means any computing resource. Computing resource means whenever you want to purchase a new laptop, what are the components you are going to take care, that is what the computing resource is. You are going to worry about CPUs, you are going to worry about memory, you are going to worry about networking components like what is a Wi-Fi version 80.11b by g by n or not, or what is a Bluetooth version like a 4 or 5. You are going to worry about this, right? Graphic card, these parts comes into network. Whatever the device you have, what are the components the device have, if it is enabled for communicating with another device, that is what networking is, right? Communication between multiple devices. So the networking component you are going to take care, and your own device performance. The performance depends always on CPUs, memory, hard disk drive, whether it is a HDD or SSD. So these all are computing resources you are going to get over the cloud. You are going to get over the cloud, and that service is going to be available anywhere. That is what ubiquitous means. And conveniently, you can simply create an account, whatever the service you required, where exactly you required, you just need an internet connectivity. You can provision that resource, you can start using that. See, email, let's take email as an example. So whenever you want, wherever you want, you simply log in and you start using that, right? So that is what cloud is. Google Drive, OneDrive, Dropbox, iCloud. So these all examples for cloud only. Okay. And these all resources are configurable computing resources. That means the device can be shared with multiple users. The shared pool of configurable computing resources. So whenever you create an email, you are going to get a 15 gigs of the storage. So that is not a dedicated 15 GB hard disk drive. This Google is going to have a highly configured device. They are going to virtualize that. So how much storage you require, they are going to allocate that storage. So that is a configurable computing resources, all the resources, not just only storage. So, and these all resources can be provisioned and released with minimal management effort and no service provider interaction. For example, you are using 15 GB storage in Google Drive. Suddenly you require 100 GB storage. You really no need to contact Google. You really no need to contact the Google. Simply you can go to storage.google.com, and there it will show you how much you already have, what plan you can upgrade. Simply select that, give your payment information, and you are going to get all the storage. You give valid payment information. So in this process, I'm not putting much effort, and I'm nowhere contacting that service provider. Exactly same way, if you launch a server in AWS, or if you launch a database in AWS, or if you want to store some data in AWS, you really no need to contact them, or you really no need to put much effort. If you need a server in outside environment or traditional mechanism, you need to put a lot of efforts. You need to go out and you need to get the quotation. You need to release purchase order, that server have to come and you need to install. Then you can start using that. So it is a big process, right? Compared to this on cloud computing. Here again, these all services are on demand. How many hours you required, whenever you required, wherever you required. Just provision and start using that. So that is a advantage. So with minimal management effort and no service provider interaction, we can get all the cloud resources. We will talk about the resources. And essential characteristics of cloud computing or advantages of cloud computing. The first one is on-demand self-service. So what exactly his requirement is, you can provision that, he can provision that and he can use that. You really no need to worry about future requirements. You really no need to keep that future requirements in mind while provisioning any resource. At moment you have 10 customers, okay, take a small server. Tomorrow you are getting 100 customers, 200 customers, yeah, just stop that and upgrade that and run that. And again you are getting more, then again you can. So, and again these all are no human interaction. So you are nowhere contacting that Amazon, right? Yesterday I've shown you how to upgrade that. I've just shown you a simple step. We will go in detail about that in our EC2 module. So, but we have an option, right? So from directly 512 MB RAM capacity, we upgraded to 3 TB, 4 TB RAM capacity one. So without any issues. So what exactly your requirement is, you can provision and you can start using that. So no human interaction with each service provider. Okay. So then broad network access. You can take any kind of device. Even this Amazon Web Services have a mobile application also called AWS Console. Open a browser, give aws.amazon.com, opens the same. Take out mobile browser, you can give. Take out, open the mobile application, you can give. Take a tablet, you can give. So without any client platform, whether it is a thin client or thick client, you can start using that application. You can provision and you can start using with that. Okay, so that is a broad network access. Yesterday I've shown one thing. So here I have an internal application, same time. So basically this application is hosted within a network. This application hosted within a network. So it is showing, it's trying to connect and it's going to fail. Why? Because whatever the server that is not available in currently connected network, I am in Naresh IT network now, but this server is residing in my organizational network. So it is not available. So but exactly same way, this application basically we can just use to send a message, nothing more than that. Exactly same way, we have similar kind of applications. For example, let's take Slack. That is also same. If you want to send a message to any of the employee, you can just open that application, double click on that user and you can send. So I even have Slack also. So this is a Slack application. So for example, you want to send a message to one of the particular user. So just go here, double click. So then you can type, hey, I am sending this message. Here it is not showing that service server is unavailable and all. Why? Because this application is hosted over the internet. It is working over the cloud. And I am not managing the Slack server. We have taken a plan from cloud, and even you can just go here, see here, there is a cloud plan and we are on basic plan. So that is why like we have some limitations, only 10,000 messages we can read and all. So but he's my colleague, I just want to send a message, I just open and I send that. Simple, right? So the real difference between a cloud hosted application and local applications. So broad network access is available wherever you are. And resource pooling. So resource pooling means multiple customers can consume same hardware. Simple Ola Share and Ola Prime or Uber Pool and UberX mechanism. So again, one user is not going to have control over another user's storage. So I told you this Gmail, they are giving 15 GB capacity, right? So now let's assume the same hardware is shared with your Gmail also. Let's assume. So can you view my files? Of course, no. We cannot. If you are able to view, so there is no security for your data, no privacy for your data. So the underlying resource is going to shared with multiple customers. If you are taking server, so we have a simple isolation diagram. See the same physical interface. Customer 1 resource are running, customer 2 resource are running, and customer n resource are running. That is an advantage. Every customer is going to get verified. Every customer is going to get charged less. They are not going to get charged with the high price. But if you really don't want to go with that shared mechanism, shared pool mechanism or multi-tenancy mechanism, you can go with a dedicated tenancy also, but cost is going to be high. You can reach high-tech city by using Uber pool, also with UberX. Agree? So if you observe this, computing resources pooled are served to multiple customers using a multi-tenant model. If you need, you can get a single tenant also or dedicated tenancy also. We have two types of tenancies: shared tenancy or multi-tenancy, dedicated tenancy or single tenancy. So based on your requirement, you can just go and pick this. Take any storage, databases and all, everything. So then next one is rapid elasticity. When coming to rapid elasticity, you really don't need to worry about the limitations or provisions. For example, if you take S3 platform, I'll take up all the terminologies. S3 is like Amazon's version of Google Drive. Everybody know Google Drive, right? S3 is Amazon's version of Google Drive. There we have unlimited storage. So when you have unlimited storage, so do you really need to worry about provisioning the capacities or worrying about boundaries? You have unlimited storage. Again, for everything we have a limitation, for even for a universe, for galaxy also. So but see, they have a capacity where your organization is required. Your organization is required petabytes of data. Yes, they do have. Zettabytes of the data. Yes, they do have. So you really don't need to worry about elasticity. And if you need 100 servers, yes, just go and provision. If you need 1,000 servers, yes, just go and provision. 10,000, yes, available. So that is what you really don't need to worry about elasticity, and even compatibilities also you really don't need to worry. You have a server, AWS. So you have a server and that is running with one basic configuration. You really don't want to continue, you want to upgrade or you want to downgrade. So basically this feature scale up or scale down. So if you want to scale up the resource, immediately just stop the resource and upgrade that. AWS. Okay. So you really don't need to worry about the storage or server capacities or databases. You really don't need to worry about that. So it is going to scale automatically. I told you S3, no pre-provisioning. No pre-provisioning means you really don't need to choose, okay, I need 20 GB or I need 30 GB or I need 40 GB. How much data you are going to store, you are going to get charged for that. If you are storing petabytes of the data, yes, your bill comes for petabyte. If you are storing only 10 MB, yes, you are going to get charged for 10 MB only. So it is scaling automatically. No pre-provisioning. But if you are taking another service, like while creating a server, you need to select how much hard disk you require. Yeah, there, how much you provision, you need to. And that service, if 100 GB is full, yes, manually you need to add some, you need to upgrade that. So, but there is no limitations. Elasticity is there. Okay. So then measured service, whatever the service you are going to get from cloud, you are going to, that resource is going to measured in form of a metric and you are going to get charged for that. A server, hourly basis or per second basis. A database, how much storage capacity you provision. A storage, how much GB you used for this month. So based on that, you are going to get charged. So these are the advantages of the cloud computing. So or we call it as the essential characteristics of the cloud computing. Okay. So now let's start discussing about service models of the cloud computing. Okay. So when coming to service models of the cloud computing, mainly we have four service models. Sorry, deployment models. Service models like platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, and software as a service. Let's talk about deployment models first, then we will go to service models. When coming to deployment models, the first one is public cloud. Public cloud is just like a public transport. So the public cloud platform is open for all. Whoever you are, whether you are a student or working professional, non-governing body, whoever you are, they really don't care about that. If you are giving a valid payment information while creating the account, that's it, they will give you an account. So that's why we have multiple accounts. I have multiple accounts, they really don't know, and they really don't worry about that also. So public cloud is open for all. The main important thing in these deployment models are maintenance part. If something happen, who will fix the issue? That is an important thing here in public cloud. When coming to maintenance part, forget about the typos. If I write any typos, just ignore that. So when coming to maintenance part, so for public transport, will you worry about the maintenance? For example, you are using L&T metro. Suddenly that metro is breakdown. Will you try to fix that? No, right? So who is going to take care about that maintenance part as it is a public cloud, public platform? That service provider is going to have his own team and he is going to fix that issue. Exactly same way. So you are using Gmail. That is also public platform. That comes under public cloud, right? You can create there. Are they asking whether if you are giving like a Rakulpreet Singh, are they going to verify whether the Rakulpreet Singh is creating or Avinash is creating? They are not going to verify that, right? So anybody can create. Agree? So, but when coming to maintenance, some server is down. That Google service sometimes it gave hiccups. The service will go down for some time, or they may take planned maintenances. So will you worry about that part? Or will you try to fix that? Do you at least have any access to that servers? Do you at least know where exactly the data centers and do you have access to the data centers? That is what public cloud is. When coming to maintenance part, the service provider is going to take care about maintenance. And anyone can use this. So AWS, Azure, GCP, Oracle Cloud, OchoStream, Fujitsu, Rackspace, many cloud platforms are there. So in our case, it's a AWS. And the login page and everything is going to same for everyone. We do have an option. You can sit here in Hyderabad, you can create a server in USA. You can create a server in Singapore or Australia. That's completely different, but the login and the the login page, that is going to be same for everyone. That is a public cloud, open for everyone. Okay. And second one is private cloud. So when coming to private cloud, so this is not open for everyone. That cloud or that infrastructure or the data center will be available to only corporate users. Only to corporate users. So no one can create an account there. They have to use their corporate IDs, then only they can log in, then only they can use. For example, if you are taking my organizations, yes, we do have a private cloud. And if I want to log in, I need to use my corporate ID, then only I can log in to that private cloud platform. And again, if I want to create a server, so I need to use my credentials. It is going to verify whether I have valid credentials or not. So if I have valid credentials, then only it allow me to log in simple. Okay, so I'll show you. I can log into one device. So here, so I can access these URLs across the globe. I can access this URL. If I have internet, I can access. Now it is asking me to enter username and password. But see the domain, it is sslib.internal. And is there any sign up option available? No sign up. That means you cannot create an account here. But I have valid credentials. I can give my username and password. I can log in here. And if I log in, if I get connected to that, I can access all the resources in simple terms. Okay. So again, to get connected to this private cloud, we are going to have some mechanisms. So either you need to connect to a client where it is responsible for intermediate connections, or you need to get connected to VPN. You need to get connected to VPN, then only you can access that. So in simple, I'll try to get connected to one server now. So I have a server 192.168.100.78. I'm trying to connect. I'm trying to connect to the server. It is initializing, it will try, and it's going to fail. Why? Because this server is running somewhere else in a private cloud. I need to go with different mechanism if I want to access this server. I need to go with different mechanism. So if I want to get connected, see what private cloud you want to get connected. We have it in multiple locations. So a minute back when I tried to connect, I am not able to, right? So let's see. Now I'm trying to get connected here. When I click on connect, so it is asking me to enter username and password. See, sorry. One. So just observe there, I got connected to the server. So what credentials I have used? I use my corporate credentials. Where this server is running? Is it running in Naresh IT network? My first question. Is it running in Naresh IT network? No. And what credentials I have used? I use my corporate credentials. I'm able to hit the server. So can you log into the server? No, you cannot, until unless you work along with me. You work in same organization, and if you have valid permissions, then only you can log into the server. So that is what the private cloud mechanism. So not open for everyone. See, that server is running somewhere else. Exactly same way, like we have some servers in Tampa, we have some in Dallas, Texas, and we have some in Virginia, and some in Vizag, and some is in Hyderabad, and some are in Canada. So I have a different mechanism to get connected to that. But again, I'm using my corporate credentials and only I'm able to connect. That is not running in Naresh IT network. By using internet only, again, if I don't have internet, I cannot get connected. So that is what private cloud is. Even Amazon also provides private cloud. If you ask Amazon to give private cloud, yes, they will give. They will going to provision a capacity as per your organizational requirement. If you are using your corporate ID, then only you can log in. Otherwise, that regular Gmail will not work there. Regular Gmails or Yahoo mails will not work there. So you need to use your corporate ID only. Simple, you know G Suite. So can you create an account with G Suite by using your corporate ID? You can. Other users, like it is not going to look like at gmail.com, at your corporate ID. The same mechanism here. So it is for only one organization. When coming to maintenance part, so here, if your organization want to take care about maintenance, they may maintain a dedicated team to perform that maintenance tasks. Otherwise, they may give it to third-party organization. Simple. This is like your own car. Private cloud is like your own car. You can use and your family members can use. Agree? So suddenly something happened. Let's assume flat tire. That is just a second day or third day. You really don't know how to fix that out. You really don't know how to fix a flat tire also. So what you will do? You will call some mechanic and he is going to fix that. So that is maintenance part. Yes, you are taking help from third-party organization. So you know how to fix that. You already have some experience or you are using from last 4 years or 5 years. So suddenly you got a flat tire. So you have a Stephanie, immediately you are going to change that, right? Without any assistance. So in this case, you are performing your own maintenances. So in simple, it may be your own organization or they may give it to third-party organization. Maintenance part. But when coming to public cloud, the service provider is going to take care. You really don't need to worry about that. Okay. Then hybrid cloud. So when coming to hybrid cloud, in simple, this is combination of one or more cloud computing platforms. It is a combination of one or more cloud computing platforms. So in simple, so you have some servers in on-premise and some servers in AWS. You want to enable communication between these two. Yes, we do have an option. By using VPN connectivity or AWS Direct Connect, we have multiple hybrid cloud scenarios. And you have one server in AWS and another server in GCP. You can enable communication for both. In all these cases, we are going to call it as a hybrid cloud. So in simple, one or more cloud computing platforms. We are using one or more cloud computing platforms. We can call it as a hybrid cloud. So recently I made a video and I uploaded to my YouTube channel. So that is deploying a server in Azure called SMS, server migration service. That server migration service is going to take a VM from Azure and it is going to send to AWS. The server is going to take a server from Azure and it is going to move that entire server to AWS. I enable communication between Azure as well as AWS to perform this task. So in this case, hybrid cloud. Exactly same way, you can put some servers, your web servers in AWS and your database server in on-premise. You can take multiple private clouds also. In that case, we can call it as a hybrid cloud. Public plus public or public plus private or private plus private. In all these cases, we are going to call it as a hybrid cloud. Okay, I told you right that AWS, Azure and this one. So just go to YouTube. And you can look for AWS Avinash Reddy. So here you can find a couple of things. So generally some advanced services, the one I cannot show here, I'm going to upload, I'm going to perform it and I'm going to upload it to this channel. So see this VM migration from Azure to AWS using SMS connector, server migration service connector. Again, where the connector is running, it is running in Azure and it is sending a server to AWS. Simple. So you enable connectivity between those two cloud platforms. So we can call that as a hybrid cloud. Okay. And we have some servers in public cloud. We are using Amazon Web Services. And I've shown you some resources, private cloud resources. Yes, we have communication between those two. We have enabled communication by using VPN, or some customers will take AWS Direct Connect. That is a dedicated connectivity. Amazon is going to lay down a cable from AWS cloud to our on-premise resources. So in this case, we call it as a hybrid cloud. Again, maintenance part, both parties. If it is a public cloud, the service provider is going to take care. If it is a private cloud, you need to take care, or you can give it to third-party organization. Maintenance means simple, fixing the issues. Server suddenly stopped, or that power cable got burned. Who is going to fix that issue is nothing but maintenance. If it is your own data center, yes, you can go and you can fix that if you're working in the team. But if it is in AWS, we really don't know where exactly that is, so you cannot fix that. That is a maintenance part. So then the next one is community cloud. So community cloud nowadays less organizations are using, but some organizations is doing business with this. So in my opinion, NTT Data is doing business with this cloud platform. So community means group of people or group of resources who have similar characteristics. SR Nagar community, Reddy community, Kapu community, you are aware about that, right? So this Ram Gopal Varma thing currently, right? So so an organization have a requirement, but they cannot build an entire infrastructure end to end. So again, another organization is there. They also have similar kind of requirement. So what they can do, these organizations are going to combine as a community. They are going to build the infrastructure, and only that community organizations will use that infrastructure. Simple. SR Nagar Community Hall is there. Is it open for everyone? Can you go there and can you start doing a function there? No, right? So if you are a member of that particular community, then only they will allow you to perform. So exactly same way, group of organizations, they build an infrastructure or data center. Only that group of organizations will perform activities. So they can provision a server, they can create a storage, perform everything within that. When coming to maintenance part, one of the organization from community may take care, or else they may give everything to third party organization. Simple, that maintenance part, one of the organization, or they may give it to simply third party organization. So these are the deployment models available. So now, yes, I'm open to all your questions. So any questions on these deployment models? Hybrid cloud example. So my organization is an example. Simple. So you have an application, and that application database is going to contain a lot of sensitive data. Let's assume your database is going to contain all your customers' credit card and debit card information, including CVV also, you have decided to store. Right? So again, running that server in cloud, you are worrying about that. You are worrying about cloud platform mechanisms and all. So running over the web or internet, you really don't want to continue with that feature. So in that case, what you can do, you decided to run your database in on-premise only. But web servers, you are okay to run in cloud. So you decided to go with Amazon Web Services. So in simple, your web servers are in AWS cloud and your database is in on-premise. You can enable communication by using with different mechanisms. Okay, you enable communication, and whatever request is coming to your web server, that request may come to database server, and it is delivering that request also over the internet by using web servers. So in this case, you are using your own infrastructure and you are using Amazon infrastructure. You are using both. So that scenario is nothing but hybrid cloud. Not only that, you have some servers in Azure, you have some servers in AWS. You can enable communication. That is also hybrid cloud only. So you can, it is possible to enable communication between GCP and AWS. See here, automated network deployments, building a VPN between GCP and AWS. That is a official Google documentation. That means possibility is there, right? So you can have your server in GCP, you can have your server, another server in AWS, and both are communicating. And both are two different cloud computing platforms. That is what hybrid cloud is. Say VPN between clouds, Amazon VPC, you can perform this. Again, don't worry, we are going to look into those options. So that is deployment models. Private cloud for single organization. Community cloud, specific community organizations. Public cloud for general public. Hybrid cloud, two or more distinct cloud infrastructures, either it is a private, community or public, whatever that is. These are the deployment models. So AWS comes under public cloud computing platform. AWS is a public cloud computing platform. So now let's discuss about service models of the cloud computing. This is important to understand. Yes.
So Facebook page comes under this public cloud.
So Facebook.
The login page which we use.
Yes. Why? Because it is open for everyone, right? First thing, Facebook is open for everyone. So whether even Mark Zuckerberg, if he gave Facebook.com, the page is going to be same. So the computer is not going to detect, okay, this is my owner, so he is going to give a owner page. When he gave that URL, if he is giving whatever the URL I am giving, if he is giving, so the same page is going to open. So as a login page is same for everyone, you can just
so
go.
Basically, public cloud is only for end users, not for corporate.
Public cloud, yes, public cloud is for everyone. So if you want to use your corporate ID to log in, you can go with the private cloud mechanism. Public cloud, I can use my corporate ID to create an account. But again, whatever the page I am getting by using gmail.com, I am going to get the same page. You can use any email, any credentials to create an account in public cloud. But private cloud, you need to contact them separately. Then they are going to isolate an infrastructure. For public cloud users, they have one data center. They are not going to give your servers on same hardware. They will isolate your resources for private cloud and they will deliver to you. Hope that clears your question.
Yeah. So for security wise, security concerns should be there in public cloud compared to private cloud.
We will talk about security. We will talk about security. So basically, security is a very common question for cloud platforms. So we have a shared security model. We will discuss about that. So not only, along with this only we are going to discuss. Okay. So now, so then we are going to discuss about Service models of the cloud computing. When coming to service models of the cloud computing, we have different service models. First of all, on-premise or traditional. Second one, software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. When coming to these, so I'll explain theoretically, hands-on I'll show tomorrow. Okay. So simple. By using all the service models, we are going to get an application. You need a website. You want to deliver to all end customers. How much efforts you can put is matter on the service models. If you are going with on-premise, you need to put a lot of efforts. If you are going with software as a service, no efforts at all, very, very less efforts. Platform as a service, bit more, infrastructure as a service, bit more. But the customization is matter here. So let's talk about on-premise. So I want to develop an application and I want to deliver to end customer. Let's assume you decided to develop an application exactly same as Gmail and you want to become competitor to Google organization. Assume. So you really don't have any infrastructure, a good thought in mind. You want to build everything from scratch. That is what on-premise is. What are the things you required? Can you try to list some? Okay, physical hardware. Again, multiple types of hardware, right? Yes, Hami, Evalal. Okay, sir, get here, sir. So please go on mute if you don't have any questions. Okay, so yeah. So first thing, you need physical infrastructure. Hardware, again, multiple types of hardware. Server is a hardware, switch is a hardware, firewall is a hardware. So what exactly the required components are? Come on, you need servers, okay? I'm going to write servers. Along with servers, routers, switches, those all comes under network category. So you need to build a network. Then cables also comes under network only. Storage, yes, you definitely need a storage. So then firewall, okay. Can you deliver an application with this?
OS, operating system.
Yes, on top of servers, you definitely need an operating system. Again, only operating system is not sufficient. On top of that, what again in between servers and OS, recently many organizations are using virtualization. So if you are using virtualization, one server for multiple operating system. So again, that is completely optional. But so let's try virtualization also. You're using virtualization, on top of that you install operating system. So then only OS is not sufficient, right? Software.
The data center.
These all you're building everything in data center only.
So physical place.
Yes, physical space, and that space need a security. Physical space, and we need security also. Physical security definitely. Air condition, AC, UPS, uninterruptible power supply.
And watchman. Data center engineer.
Yeah, that is what security. Security to that entire physical resources. Any other? On top of OS, we have multiple options. So what programming language you want to go with? What technology you are using to design that application? So again, sorry?
Database.
Database, exactly, I'm looking for that. storage, database, servers, networking, virtualization, operating system. On top of that, basically, you need to have a middleware environment and runtime environments. That means you can design a web page by using .NET, Java, PHP, Python. You can take any programming language, you can design that page, right? Or you're going to take all the programming languages. You're going to fix for only one. So what exactly middleware environment you want to use? What is the runtime environment you want to go with? So then on top of this, you're going to have your own data. The data means how exactly your application should look like. So you already have that Gmail application, right? So how exactly it should look like? What is the security features you are going to implement? So you need to worry about those things also. Then your application will be ready. Then you can deliver to all end customers. These things, external factors, this firewall basically comes under networking part only. Physical space or the security to that physical space. So everybody should not get access to these resources, right? The servers and all. So, and air conditioning systems and uninterrupted power supply. So that is the external factors. But without these, you cannot deliver an application. Agree? So now, when coming to network, so here, firewall, switches, routers, and all the networking components will come here. Who have access, how the traffic is filtering, where it is filtering and everything. Access points, everything comes there. Storage, whether you want to go with the SAN or NAS, storage either network or network attached storage. So let's assume your application is going to generate a lot of files and you want to store that files in a centralized location. So you are going to have a device. Let's Dell EMC Square device. So there you decided to store. Okay. So you need SAN or NAS. So basically storage and database. You design database. You are worrying about database backups, database high availability. Sure. So here, who is going to take care? We'll talk about team-wise. So network, who is going to take care? Network engineers or network admins is going to take care. Storage, storage admin. Databases, who is going to take care?
DBA.
DBA, database administrators. Servers,
Server engineers.
server engineer or a system engineer. Okay. Like we are going to have like a Wintel engineers, Intel engineers, they comes into the server engineers. So if it is a Intel hardware and a engineer is going to manage that, we are going to call this as a like a, if that is running with Windows operating system. So Wintel engineer. So servers, a dedicated team, and this virtualization again. What kind of virtualization we are using? If you are using, you need to recruit a VMware engineer, ESXi, and if you are using Citrix, a Citrix engineer or Zen hypervisor, or if you are using Hyper-V, a Hyper-V Microsoft one. So a virtualization engineer. So then OS, sysadmins or system engineers, they are going to take care. And this middleware and runtime, basically developers will work on this. And application administrator will take care about this. See, installation and everything is application admin responsibility, but he is not going to develop that code and all. So basically developers comes into this scenario only. Whatever the programming language they are using, they are writing, we will get that. So whatever the mechanism you are going to use, you are going to, that comes here, the developer part. Remaining administrators only. When coming to data, how exactly it should look like, what is the existing security features, what is the new security features. So like a higher management or a solution architects will comes to the scenario. Or senior architects, basically will comes here, and again we are going to take care about that application. So the end customer is going to use this. So by performing all this, we are designing an application and end customer is going to use that application. So now when coming to on-premise mechanism, you need to take care about each and every component including external factors. Traditional on-premise mechanism. Traditional or on-premise mechanism. So here, suddenly one switch stopped working and communication problem for some of the users in a particular cubicle area. So immediately network engineer come, he will verify the connectivity and all, he's going to replace or he's going to fix that. Or else, like a server to server communication is there, suddenly that switch is down. Or you have a switch where where all servers are coming from particular rack, so the intermediate switch is down. So all the rack servers will be unavailable to end customers, right? Who is going to take care? Network engineers. Storage. Suddenly you're running out of storage. I'm talking about on-premise only. Storage, again, storage admin team, they need to fix, they need to upgrade that, they need to or free up some space. So they need to fix that issue. When coming to database, so here DBS database administrators, they need to work on, they need to worry about that high availability and connectivities and everything. They need to worry here in database layer. Servers, they need to monitor the usage, CPU utilization and everything they need to. So when coming to on-premise end to end, you have control. You are the decision makers. For example, the servers, if you want to go with Dell PowerEdge servers, yes, you can go and you can purchase. Or if you want to go with HP ProLiant servers only, yes, you have an option. You can go there and you can purchase that server. Why? Because it is an on-premise. You can customize based on your requirement. When coming to cloud service models, the level of access you are going to get on these is matter. The first one is software as a service. When coming to software as a service, you really no need to worry about all these. Whatever the one I have highlighted, I have a simple image here. So these blue color ones, you really no need to manage, you really no need to worry. The service provider is going to take care about that, or vendor, and we are the clients. So you really don't need to worry about that. If it is matching with your requirement, just go and grab that and you can start using that. That is a software as a service. Okay. So when coming to platform as a service, till operating system level, the vendor is going to take care. On top of that, how you want to build, how you want to design, what technology you want to use, then you can get that and you can deliver your application. All your customizations you can perform only here. Below that, operating system selection is not available. Virtualization you cannot select, servers you cannot select. So I'll show you an example application. So time is not permitting today. So we will launch a demo application for all these three service models in our next session. You will get complete clarity on this mechanism. Okay. So when coming to infrastructure as a service, so here till runtime and middleware platform as a service, only you can deliver your data and you can deliver your application. These two for platform as a service. When coming to infrastructure as a service, till this operating system level, the vendor is going to manage. In our case, Amazon is going to manage. You can customize all this middleware, runtime, data, and your application. Again, in all the four cases, I'm delivering an application. My application requirement is a website. My requirement is a simple website. How much efforts I can put is matter here. So again, as I mentioned, I'll show you hands-on in our next session. But before that, to understand this mechanism, I am going to give you a simple and silly example. I'll tell you that's a silly only. So simple, you want to have biryani. That is what your requirement is. That is what your requirement is. Now, you have all the resources. Let's talk about traditional on-premise. So when coming to traditional on-premise, you need to have your stove, you need to have your gas cooker, you need to have your rice, and you must know the process. You must know the process, and you need all ingredients. You need to have chicken, then you can cook and you can deliver. For example, you are the only one guy who eats only 100 grams of biryani. So if it is a traditional on-premise, yes, you can. You can cook for only 100 grams. It is possible, right? And for example, you want to use like a different basmati rice, India Gate basmati rice instead of regular rice. So you have a flexibility. You can just go there and you can purchase and you can use that. Why? Because that is an on-premise. You have control. So let's assume you have two gas stoves. One is HP and second one is Indian. Which one you want to use? You have a flexibility. You can use that. Agree? So that is a traditional on-premise. When coming to software as a service, so you went to a nearby restaurant. So there, let's assume only takeaway. So you are asking him a biryani and he's going to give that. So he's going to have a fixed price, right? Okay, single biryani 100 rupees, full biryani 200 rupees. Can you ask him, no, I want only 100 grams, I'll eat only 100 grams, can you give that? You cannot ask him like that, right? No customization. But it is matching with your requirement. You want to have biryani, that is what your requirement is. He is selling that biryani. So again, to make that biryani, he used a gas, he used a stove, he used rice, he used wheat flour. But did you customize that? Can you ask him to use only particular rice brand? He cannot. So that is a software as a service. It is matching with your requirement. Yes, just take that. Don't worry about that backend infrastructure, backend mechanism. That is a software as a service. When coming to platform as a service, so there, with customization, you can deliver your data, and based on the data, you can get your application. Simple. You went to a good restaurant. So there, while giving order, you can give some customizations. Again, certain level customizations. You cannot ask him OS level customizations. Only data. For example, okay, whatever the biryani you are going to serve, okay, give with less masala rice. Yes, he is going to. Or ask him a leg piece. Yes, he is going to. Agree? So you are giving your data, based on that your application is going to deliver. If he is not giving, like, you are going to ask him, okay, where is that? But again, are you asking, if you ask him, like, if it is a only leg piece, yes, he is going to give. But can you ask him to cook with particular rice brand? Again, to make that biryani available to you, he followed the same process. The advantage he is giving is, okay, you can give your data. You can give your data. Based on your data, I'm going to deliver my application. Again, so no customizations for all these below processes. Only data and application. That is a platform as a service. Okay. When coming to infrastructure as a service. So let's assume your wife went to her hometown, you have all the resources. You must know how to cook that. That is what infrastructure as a service. You have resources just to prepare that biryani. You are not going to purchase a new rice cooker, right? Whatever the one you are going to have, you are going to continue with that. So these physical resources, physical infrastructure will be provided. On top of that, you have an option. Okay, what rice you want to, like, what is the thing, how much you require. So you can customize that and you can deliver that application. So that is a infrastructure as a service, again, as I mentioned, we are going to launch a sample applications or test applications in our next session. You are going to get a complete clarity on this. I'll show you hands-on. Traditional on-premise I cannot show. Why? Because I need to go out and I need to purchase a server. So that I cannot show. I'm going to show you software as a service. I'm going to show you platform as a service and infrastructure as a service. And I'm going to design a website and I'll try to deliver that. You can access that website across the globe. How much efforts I'm putting is matter there. Okay. So at moment I'll take all your theoretical questions. Tomorrow I'll show you hands-on related to the service models. So any questions on these service models, guys? No? Are we good? Or like if you don't have any questions means we have like I can assume it as a two ways. Either you not got anything. Second thing, you got everything. Like మొత్తం అని అర్థమై ఉండాలి లేకపోతే ఏమని అర్థమై ఉండాలి. So any questions from online users?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to show you these examples on top of AWS only. So we have like recently we are going to get X as a service. You can take any code as a service, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service. You can run. If you are taking RDS, you are going to get entire database as a service. So there you cannot select operating system, but whatever the database you require, you can select that. You can launch that. So nowadays it is not just limited to, but these are the ones we have in official documentation and all. So these are service models, software as a service. The capability provided to the consumer is to use the provider's application running on cloud infrastructure. So that program can be connected by using various options like a web browser and all. The consumer does not manage or control the underlying cloud infrastructure, including network, servers, operating system, storage, or even individual application capabilities. That is software as a service. So you cannot manage networking, you cannot manage servers, you cannot select or you cannot specify your required operating systems and all. That is a software as a service. When coming to platform as a service, so here we can choose an application, we can generate or we can create an application with our own programming languages. If you want to deploy a .NET application, okay, write a simple .NET application and deploy that. If you want a PHP, yes, if the platform is available, write a PHP application and deploy that. Again, that you are going to give in form of data. Zip that entire code, upload it to that platform, and that is going to deliver. Again, are you managing anything like a network, servers, operating system? No. Possible chances are managing application hosting environment. So that is a platform as a service. Salesforce comes under platform as a service. That is also cloud platform only. So, but there you do not have any option to launch a server, but you can give your customer information, you can design that application and you can deliver. Basically, that's a CRM application, right? Salesforce. So that is comes under platform as a service. Software as a service, Gmail. Gmail comes under software as a service. If you're taking it as a light example. So can you customize something? Can you ask Google to run that application on Windows operating system? Or you can ask Google to run that or run your Gmail application only on Dell servers? They are not going to, why? Because no customizations. Okay. So when coming to infrastructure as a service, so here we have an option to provision storage, network, and other fundamental computing resources, where you can deploy and where you can manage. But underlying resources, underlying infrastructure, storage, operating systems, deployed applications like a. So the service provider vendor is going to take care about that. Again, we will launch a demo application tomorrow, so you can get that everything. Okay, we'll get a complete clarity on this service models. Okay, so if you have some time, you can just go to Google and you can look for NIST definition of cloud computing, and you can get this document. So tomorrow we are going to discuss about security. We are going to launch demo applications for this. Then we are going to discuss about security. What is shared security model? What is security of the cloud and what is security in the cloud? Then we are going to start discussing about AWS global infrastructure. So this is like I can say this is a prerequisite to start with any cloud platform. These terminologies, this mechanism. Okay, so yeah. So yeah, that's it for today's session, guys. So any questions for me? So you can use same URL. You can join. You can join in our next session with the same URL. Any questions for me, guys? Anil, Krishna, Kamaldeep, Manisha, Pushpa, Ravi, Sai. Okay, so then you can use same URL and join tomorrow. See you tomorrow, guys. Have a nice day.